hello, hola.
Oh, hello and hola. That's all we needed right there. That's a bizarre way to introduce Opazal, but here we are.
That is our intro for today. How's it going, guys?
We are so stoked.
Yeah.
That's my term. But we're excited. We finally have this. We figured it out somehow, this technology to call people impromptu. Just to let you know that what, TC?
That we have the new software in the studio that is working. We got like 4 cameras in here. We got the in-house phone that we can call people now. Things are changing in 2019,
because we want to hear from you. If you want to hit us up, we have this phone number that's you wouldn't recognize, but you let us know. Mm-hmm. We'll put you on the air.
Yes.
That would be fun. Just total random for whatever reason. And hey.
And again?
You can feel like super important like us.
Hola. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
That happens. Hey, seriously, Opazal, welcome, guys. It's fun. TC, how's your week?
Dude, I'm like on 15 hours of sleep at the moment. So it was
nice.
a good. No, don't
Comatose.
get me wrong. It was a great week. A lot of stuff got done, but I gotta fix that sleep schedule a little bit.
All right. That's awesome. Hey, today we've got a great show. We are right around the corner from Martin Luther King Day.
Yep, right around the corner Monday.
I want to celebrate that man's life.
I do too.
And so I thought we'd just kind of chat about it, talk about it, how it relates to us today, what we can take and learn from him. Remember, those who don't learn from history are going to repeat it.
Oh, man, that's my saying. You took that right from me.
It's not yours.
That's so my saying.
No, let's see. I'm on the older scale. That means you had to have learned it from me or somebody else before you.
So you're going to pull that on me, huh?
Yep, that is.
Okay.
That's my right. So, but we can both share it.
I'll give you seniority on that.
No, I'm going to share it with you today. I'm going to share it with you today.
Appreciate
and
it.
we share with everybody who's listening. So, my point is this. Here's a man in a contentious decade in a history of a country, i.e. the United States, that not only chose to express his thoughts,
yes,
but he chose to do it in such a way that he maximized his impact. In a day and age where everyone didn't have cell phones to get their message out and, hey, if you like this, come here. If you don't like this, come here. He was able to motivate and mobilize people for a cause. And the way he did it was truly to impact the lives of others.
Yeah, beautifully put. And I've never really thought of it that way without having today's technology and media being so big as it is.
Sure.
Back then, to have that reach and to have that message being spread is pretty amazing. And I think the fact that it was so authentic and the fact that it was so powerful and meaningful and purposeful is the reason why it got out there, is because it needed to be heard, even though some people didn't want to hear it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's... I think about the history books, and even in our schools when we teach history, the books can't get thicker and thicker and thicker, so they've got to eliminate.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that we really don't get full pictures of the atmosphere of what's going on, the challenges that we face when trying to make a difference in the lives of others. It's one thing I've learned, that sometimes we think about the big picture too much, to where we forget to dial in what was going on in his life.
Yeah, absolutely. The small picture, the micro.
The things that he had to overcome every day, every waking moment. His family.
Could you imagine?
I can't, honestly. and I'm not going to base everything on what Hollywood puts out in a movie.
Right.
No matter how accurate, it just doesn't capsulize everything.
It can't.
And so, I just want to first, in retrospect, thank him. And that's one of the few people, if I could do lunch with today, people say, hey, you could do lunch with anybody. That's definitely one of my top 5.
100%, yeah.
And I'm just like, man, what? And the reason is, what did you go through? What was really going on? I always want to know. Don't show me what, the end game was and all of the hoopla around surrounds it. It's like, oh, that's awesome and that's impacting, but I want to know what's going on inside of the person.
God, I mean, if you can get inside of that man's head and inside of his heart, I don't think either of us or anyone can really tell you exactly what he was feeling or exactly what he was thinking. But
There's no way I
I,
could.
I think from an
No,
outside perspective, we can
never.
get a good general consensus of what he was going through. And we all know that he had, multiple death threats. Obviously, he was assassinated, so that
Hmm.
unfortunately he's gone and no longer with us. And I also want to say thank you, so much for everything that you did, MLK, up there,
Yeah.
sitting, resting, looking over us. But yeah, just having multiple death threats, having to protect your family, having to protect your legacy, having to also just go out there every day and spread that message that you feel that you were entitled and born to do in a way, and to do that without, having the fear of not coming home because,
Yeah.
one day he didn't. So there's just a lot that we don't know that
The
of what he went through.
weight of that emotion, that intellect, everything. I honestly, I don't know if I could bear that.
It's insurmountable for sure.
And so, but one of the questions I wanted to throw at us is for us to think about today. Again, our tagline is so we can bring this world, and this world needs a little more
Hmm.
positive. How in the world are we supposed to bring positive, similar to the way that MLK, when it's portrayed as so contentious, it's portrayed as so controversial, it's portrayed in the light of, I'm struggling with words this morning.
I know, I get you. Let me hop on here. From my perspective, and this may be a little irrational, and some people may take this the wrong way. And please just know that my intent is always to be positive and to promote love and nothing but positivity.
Right.
But I think that we kind of take we hide from that controversy. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That we don't want to have that. We don't want to put ourselves out there in a way that other
Gotcha.
people will react in a negative way.
We fear negative.
Right. And we fear other people's opinions so much that we don't even put out what we believe. We kind of just hide and go with status quo.
Well, nowadays everyone's looking for any kind of kink in your armor to go in there and
Exactly.
steer stuff that sword in that
Yeah.
crack and just kind of crank it. It's like whatever. It's like,
People are just hating.
wow, what's your problem? I mean,
I know.
seriously, wow, how can you be angry at someone whose intent is positive?
Mm,
It's for a greater good. Well, I think that's pretty easy. You don't trust anybody.
right.
We live in a world where no one trusts
Mm,
anybody. And so our first reaction is usually negative. And it's usually like, forget that. There's no way. You can't be that nice.
right.
TC, there's no way you can really believe that. Well, yeah, and yes, he is
Yeah.
authentic, and yes, that's just who he
It's
is.
just like, dude, that's who I
No,
am.
no,
That's who I'm gonna be.
what's your hinge? What's your kick? It's like, come on, what are you trying to do? What's your hidden agenda?
I'm like, nothing, bro. I don't have one, man. Like, this is just me. This is who I am.
Okay, then great. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna step all over you.
Yep.
Isn't that the mentality nowadays?
I'd say so. I mean, obviously, it's not the mentality of everyone, but I think we do have a good majority of
Mm,
people, and especially, with social media and media portraying those people and putting them out there, and them having such a high reach because they're always on the news, they're always on Instagram, on YouTube. Um, eh, I don't know. I think there is a lot of good out there in the world, but it's just not being shown.
right. Now let's and thinking back to MLK. Again, what the books tell us, what the movies tell us is one story. If you do a deep dive on MLK and the way I want to get back to not the why. If you're familiar with any kind of history, we know why he did what he
Hmm.
did. We know the underlying challenges that our country was facing, that our subculture's identity was facing, and still is in many ways today.
Hmm.
So we understand the why. It's the how.
Mm,
It's always about the how.
I
And
agree.
and he chose a method of confrontation,
Yeah.
of confronting
Yeah.
conflict that today we don't share as much. And I've heard all sorts of reasons why.
Go shoot those reasons to me. I'm curious.
It doesn't work.
Okay.
I
Oh.
don't get what I want.
Okay.
It's too long term. I want
Okay.
instant. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't have that same mentality. Yes, we're decades removed. So what happened? Something didn't trickle down over the last few decades.
Everything I hear, that you're saying, I'm hearing, a lack of trust, a lack of patience, a lack of morality, even. I think
That's a great one.
yeah, there are multiple reasons of why, we don't speak like MLK spoke. Just, I think controversy is definitely a huge one, and we have that fear of being taken the wrong way, or that fear of controversy that we just don't want anything to do with it. So we're gonna do anything to avoid that, and we're gonna just I don't know. There's just so many reasons of why that we don't do that anymore. It jumbles my mind.
I think people are fearful and insecure in many ways, and
Yeah.
their go-to is anger.
Yeah. Because it's
So
easy.
I don't want to be vulnerable, so I'm just going to attack.
It's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, of course it is. React.
Yeah.
Let's be reactionary instead of pausing. Power of the pause. We've talked about that before. And instead of being reflective on our own lives, and I don't want to use an overused phrase, but literally the greater good.
Yeah.
Caring more about someone else than you do about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that. Has not come through generation to generation. It is about me more than ever.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so, in answering your question, I mean, we just kind of think we hit on a handful of the big topics.
And there's definitely more.
Yeah, there's more. But, okay, so if we've kind of got the reasons why it's dealt with differently nowadays, quote unquote, the P word, politics aside.
Right.
All right, let's get out of this politics thing for a second.
Okay.
And let's go human to human.
Let's look at the human aspect. All right.
How do we do it?
Well,
how do we care more about others, care more about righting the wrong, injustice, in a way that cares more about the other person than it does about me, that does not create this tension, this multiplying anger?
I think you're always going to have that anger or that controversy. It's going to be a part of it because that's kind of how life goes nowadays. But
it's a natural emotion. I get you.
It's a natural emotion. But I think the huge thing, and it's going to sound so simple, it really is, and life's greatest answers are always the most simple things. It's lack of empathy. We have a lack of empathy, which means that we don't feel for other people. We don't really listen to other people. We can't feel what they're feeling. And when you do that, you become so selfish in a way. You only care about what you want, and you're neglecting what everyone else around you wants, which creates tension in itself. And so if we continue to have this lack of morality, of empathy, of having that feeling, and not necessarily feeling bad or having compassion for another, but just trying to be in their shoes and understand what they're going through, and to kind of, I guess what you can say, adjust yourself to their needs and their wants, and kind of just find the win-win in life. You know what I mean? Have that empathy for each other.
Yeah. How do we? So, all right, we just solved the world's problems. Congratulations in about 12 minutes. Hope you heard that. But literally, how do we begin to spread a new contagion of caring more about others than we do about ourselves?
We just become that. I mean, honestly, it really is as simple as that. It's going to take time, of course, and everyone needs to work on themselves in one way or another, but we have to literally become that. We have to understand and do and act upon these values that we're speaking of. We have to become like MLK. We have to become like all the other great leaders out there in the world, and just do what they do and embody their emotions, embody their mentality, and treat each other like we deserve to be treated.
Right. There's nothing wrong with objecting to something you disagree with.
Right. No.
But it's about
not.
the how.
Absolutely not.
It's all about the how. With what you're doing, does it bring harm to others?
And I think a lot of things, maybe not everything in life, can be resolved by a conversation, but by having that ability to listen and having that ability to have empathy for one another, things get solved that way. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think you touched on a big point. People want what they want.
Yeah.
It's our selfish nature right from the get-go. I get that. And it's about how you get that. Well, we're in a shouting match now. I say if that's the emotional climate right now, it's about who can shout louder and longer.
Yep.
Here's my issue with that. If someone wants to shout, that's their prerogative. My question is this: are you shouting for you, or are you shouting for someone else? Because if you're shouting for yourself, you shut everyone else down. You have to just have your point heard, and that's all that really matters. And you really don't care about a bigger picture for somebody else.
And see, that lack of that focus on the bigger picture, that kind of tears everything apart. Because, and you always talk about the how, and I love that you talk about the how, because we want things to happen a certain way, and when they don't come along that way, when they don't align the way you want it to, you you're fearful. You don't trust. You lack that empathy that we're talking about.
Right.
And by having that fear of trust and things not work out the way you want them to, your mentality goes to, okay, well, I'm not going to trust this system. I'm going to yell and scream and do whatever I feel is right to make
Sure.
myself feel better.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you're just tearing, not, I don't want to say tearing everyone apart, but you're kind
Right.
of not solving the problem that you initially wanted to solve in the first place.
Yeah. You know, again, we're only a few days away from MLK and celebrating and honoring a man. Let's remember that the truth, you want to ever honor somebody, carry on that message.
Mm-hmm.
And not just in a way that is about you, but it's about caring more about others than you do about yourself.
And that's what I mean by embodying and becoming that. Just continue to spread that message, no matter what people are going to say to you or what people are going to think about you, because at the end of the day, your intent is to better yourself and better society, better everyone around you. And by spreading that message of positivity or love or whatever it is that you want to share with the world, as long as it doesn't harm anyone else, that's all we can do.
Right. Now, how do we chat or talk to somebody, caring more about them? Let's say we do get to that spot.
Mm-hmm.
But they are so deeply seated with anger that it's just met with a fist, a hammer. Boom, no, no, no. What do you do with that?
I think you always continue to give love and stay true to yourself. In different situations, you definitely have to react different, especially if it's going to be violent, especially physically. Obviously, you have to react different. But I've always had the approach of just giving peace and love, because you get what you give. And if you continue to be angry and you continue to be hateful, guess what you're going to get in return?
Sure, you're going to sow those seeds, it's going to grow. That's just how it is.
That's how it is, man.
But we live in it's so much easier to be angry than love someone.
I don't want to avoid the question, because you said, what would I do in that certain situation? To me, I don't want to say I would avoid it, but I would avoid the physical confrontation for sure. But I would still approach it with an idea and mentality of giving love and trying to create peace in that situation.
You know, we talk about the world needs a little more positive. To be positive nowadays is hard work.
Yeah, it's hard work. You have to work at it. There's no way around it. You have to work at it.
So are we living in a society and a time, whether it be short or long period of time, I don't know, where we can, I'm going to totally get some feedback on this one.
It's all right. Let it out.
Lazy anger.
Explain.
The easiest thing to do, I'm going to do. And if anger's easier than being positive and loving people, I'm going to take the lazy, angry approach.
Yep.
And I don't care who the person is, what stature he or she takes. If your first thing is just going to be about yourself more than others, and you're going to do it in such a way where it breeds anger in others, that to me is not a strong person.
Yeah, I agree.
So how do you come alongside of that person and say, you know what, there's a better way?
I think you got to lead by example.
Like,
in some cases.
Absolutely.
And like we keep talking about, you have to embody that and just become that and keep doing it. And you pray and hope. And honestly, we've seen a lot of the time. MLK did it. He went out there. Yeah. He was controversial. He spread his message of love. And a lot of people followed him. Some people didn't, but he got a lot of people to follow him, and he changed a lot of things in this world.
And you know what? Nobody's perfect.
And nobody's perfect.
No movement is perfect. Mm-mm. But when we do it for us instead of others, you know what? I'm going to go with the lazy anger.
Yep.
And I don't want to say that. But you know what? We can take one step. We don't want to just talk about this. We have a step for anybody to take. Okay? And what we are looking for is that anybody in our audience that's going on, or pass this on, someone else, we want to hear from you, but this is what we want to do. We want you to send us your positives. We're going to coin a new phrase. Mm-hmm. And it can be an audio clip. It can be a video clip. We would love video clips.
That would be dope.
News nowadays, major networks. Tell me how much of that every day is positive.
Man, you're preaching my whole life message right here.
I don't even think we touch 2%. I mean, it just doesn't make good ratings.
Yeah. Exactly. It's ratings, money. You know
since we're going against the flow, we might as well go all the way against the flow. We want your video clips. Keep them short, 30 seconds, 15 seconds. I don't care, 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Give us your positive.
Yep.
What did you see today? What did you do today? What are your positives?
Yeah.
So send us your positives. We're going to coin this phrase, and we're going to kind of keep throwing that one out for quite a while, I think.
Oh, I think so. I think we're going to go with that and
And-
maybe make it a possible challenge, you know?
Ooh.
Yeah. And
Send us the positive challenge or the positive challenge.
I got some ideas flown in my head
We're
right
going
now.
to run with that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
You know, MLK, here you are, decades later, still influencing two crazy guys out here on this podcast called Excited Living.
In a studio, and that it's Greek, and yeah.
And we're trying to, in some ways, emulate what you modeled in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's send the positives.
Yes.
Put it in us. We're going to start, if it's video type, we're going to start assembling all of these and putting them on our YouTube channel.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be pretty solid.
And we will shout you out because everyone who
Absolutely.
is putting out that positive deserves to have that recognition because we're not heard that much, but we're trying to change the status quo here.
We
at
might as well
Open
go against the entire stream of mainstream media, right?
You know what? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I mean, we're not a food channel. You're not going to get rich in 20 days, doing what we do here. This is not our message. Our memo is positive. So
Yeah.
we're really starting at ground zero and going against the grain. But you know what?
Absolutely.
Together we can do this.
That's what we want to do. That was our whole intent with this Opizao podcast.
Okay, and TC, where can they send the positive video? Where can they send
You
it to
can
us?
find us at next_Opizao on Instagram. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Twitter. We're everywhere. YouTube too.
Send us your positive. Give us a short video clip, and we're going to start accruing all of these together. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. And again, hopefully this has been good for you. If not, share it with somebody else because
The world just needs a little bit more positive.
talk to you later.
Peace.